Alright, hello, Mr. Thompson here. Got an example problem. If you would like any math questions answered, so you can subscribe and I'll answer any questions you have pretty much any time. In fact, today our question is about exact values of trig functions and brought to you by Lily. So Lily asked me this question not an hour or two ago. I will try to get videos out quickly when I can. In fact, I even have a cold right now, and I'm just doing this video anyway, so not exactly the best for recording, but that's okay. This problem says, give the exact values of the following: sine of 30, sine of 150, sine of cosine of 60, tangent of 45, cosine of 135, and tangent of 120. Those are all degrees. Missed a few little degrees symbols there, but you get the idea. All degrees, no radians. We can start with sine of 30, and this one, the best way to get this one is with, you can just memorize the answer to this one, but I'm going to go through it real quick. A 30, 60, 90 triangle. We know the short side is s, the hypotenuse is 2s, and the middle length side is s squared of 3. I thought I had a video on showing why that is, but I couldn't find it, so I must not have one. So if anybody wants me to make one, let me know. I can show how you determine these values. But anyway, we know sine is opposite over hypotenuse. So to find sine of 30, we're going to do the, this is the 30, so opposite the 30 is the s. So we do s over the hypotenuse, which is 2s. And of course the s's cancel, so we end up with just 1/2. So sine of 30 is a half. Definitely something worth memorizing. We'll go to cosine. I'm going to skip this sine of 150. We're going to come back to that. So first I'm going to do cosine of 60, because this is another one you could have memorized. And we'll kind of use these easy ones to find the harder ones. So cosine of 60, we're going to use that same 30, 60, 90 triangle. Cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse. Now, we get the same thing because adjacent to the 60 is the s, and the same hypotenuse, so s over 2s. So of course, most folks probably know that cosine of 60 is 1/2. So cosine of 60 and sine of 30 are of course the same. Okay, now I'm going to go on to tangent of 45, and for that one, we'll have a 45, 45, 90 triangle, which has these values, s, s, and s squared of 2. I do have a video on this one, and I can link to that for anyone who's interested why you get those values. But for tangent, it's opposite over adjacent, so s over s, okay, which is of course just 1. So tangent of 45, oops, what have I done? Tangent of 45 is 1. Okay, now I will go on to do these sine of 150, cosine of 130, and tangent of 120. And what we're going to do for that, I'm going to get a new page here, because for those values, I'm going to use the unit circle. So we have these ones that we found, and here we'll get the unit circle. Okay, and on the unit circle, I'm going to draw lines for. First, I'm going to do these angles that we've already looked at, so 30, 60, and 45. Okay. And we can draw on there the sine of 30 is that vertical distance, right? The cosine of 60 is this horizontal distance, which illustrates why those two are the same. This one is 30 degrees from 0. This one's 30 degrees from 90. So you get the same value there. And tangent of 45 is 1. I'm not gonna draw that on there. We'll talk about tangent a little bit later. Okay, now I'm going to draw on these other lines for the ones that we have to find. And the whole thing that we need to notice here is that these 3 lines are symmetrical to those 3 lines. Okay, and you can use that fact to find the answers you need. So, for example, sine of 150. Okay, 150 is 30 degrees up from 180, and sine is this vertical distance. So it's literally just exactly the same. So sine of 150 is also 1/2. Okay, nice and easy. Okay, but the next ones are a little bit trickier, and that's good, so let's get to those. So now we're going to do Not sure why I've got that line. Oh yeah, cosine of 135, sorry. Yep, cosine of 135 is that horizontal distance from here, okay? Now what we need to notice, 135 is 45 degrees from white 80 and also 45 degrees from 90. It'll be the same as, the 45s. However, one thing we need to notice is that this line is on the left of the y-axis. So it's the answers that we get for a cosine value of any angle in quadrant 2 is going to be negative. So it's going to be the same as the 45s except negative. Now, we didn't do cosine of 45 before, so we'll just get our 45, 45, 90 again. Cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse. So s over s squared of 2, which cancels and we get 1 over square root of 2. We don't like radicals on in the denominator, so we multiply by square root of 2 over square root of 2, and that simplifies to square root of 2 over 2. Okay, so that's cosine of 45. Okay, so that means cosine of 135 is the same, except it's negative. Okay, I'm getting ahead of myself here. So cosine of 135 is square root of 2 over 2, but it's negative because it goes to on the left of the y-axis like that. Okay. Now, the last one here is tangent of 120. Okay. Now, tangent. There are ways to draw tangents on the unit circle, but it's a little bit awkward. The best thing to remember for tangent, I'm just going to use this rule, and I'm not sure, Lily, if this is what you're learning in class, but it is true that tangent is sine over cosine. So I'm going to use that trick. So I'm going to find the sine of 120 and the cosine of 120, and I'll divide them to get my tangent. Okay? So 120 is the same as a 60, except the cosine is going to be negative, just like before. So we'll get to that. So I'm going to do my 30, 60, 90 triangle again, and because we haven't gone through in this video the sine or cosine of 60. So we'll find sine and cosine of 60. Sine is opposite over hypotenuse. So sine of 60 is going to be s times square root of 3 over 2s. Sine of 60 opposite over hypotenuse. Okay, so 2 square root of 3 over 2s. The s's cancel. We get square root of 3 over 2. So that's sine of 60. Okay, so sine of 120 will be the same because it's vertical. So quadrant 1 and 2, all the signs are positive because they're all above the x-axis. Okay, so sine of 120 is also square root of 3 over 2. We need cosine of 60 now, which is up here, and it is going to be negative. Okay, but that one's really easy. It's the same as, cosine of 60 we know is a half. So cosine of 120 is negative 1/2. Okay, now I'll use this rule as tangent is sine over cosine, and I do tangent of 120 is square root of 3 over 2 over negative 1/2. Okay, which is a bit of a funky fraction, but we can cancel the 2's. Nothing really happens with the 1. Okay, and the whole thing becomes negative. So the whole thing becomes the negative square root of 3. Okay, so tangent of 120 is negative square root of 3. All right, so there you go. I hope that helps. Those are the answers. If there's anything I screwed up here or any clarification you need, please comment and let me know. And if you have any more questions, feel free to subscribe and then ask. Thanks, and I'll talk to you next time.